Hi, thank you for watching Digging to China. I'm Dong Shong. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Jiangsu province has introduced a new policy allowing civil servants to take unpaid leave and pursue entrepreneurial endeavors. These positions can be held for up to 3 years, with the government continuing to cover social security payments. This means there's no need to worry about your benefits, and your salary level and opportunities for promotion will remain unaffected. China's civil service system shares similarities with Japan, as promotions are typically based on years of service or age, reflecting a common structure found worldwide. People found this situation quite peculiar. Why did it begin in Jiangsu province? It's because Jiangsu is considered one of China's more economically prosperous provinces, and its local government should have ample financial resources. However, the Chinese Communist Party's decision becomes rational when you consider that Jiangsu, due to its strong economy, has been subject to heavier taxation. Moreover, Jiangsu boasts a well-developed market economy, and its local government is less inclined to sustain a large number of civil servants. Within a long-standing business tradition, civil servants in Jiangsu face fewer obstacles when embarking on entrepreneurial ventures. In contrast, in a province like Gansu, civil servants attempting to start their own businesses might find it extremely challenging to succeed. Speaking of civil servants venturing into entrepreneurship, there have been 3 significant waves in the past. Currently, we might be on the brink of witnessing the 4th wave. Allow me to provide an overview of the first 3 waves of civil servants transitioning to different careers. The first instance occurred in 1982, when a significant number of civil servants made a groundbreaking decision to temporarily leave their government positions without pay, a movement known as a downshifting. Among the notable individuals who embarked on this journey was Wang Shi, who later became the chairman of Vanke Group, one of China's leading real estate development firms. Wang Shi was a mid-level bureaucrat at the time and chose to venture into entrepreneurship, particularly in real estate and various other business ventures. This pivotal event took place in the early 1980s and gave rise to many successful private entrepreneurs in China. Back then, the individuals who chose the path of entrepreneurship were primarily low-ranking government officials, while those in high-ranking positions seldom resigned. This was a result of China's early reform initiatives, which introduced a dual-track pricing system. This system established distinct pricing structures for the planned economy and the emerging market economy. High-ranking officials could effortlessly capitalize on this dual-track system by securing allocations within the planned economy and selling them in the market, often fetching substantial profits for scarce commodities. Conversely, lower-ranking bureaucrats did not possess the privilege of obtaining these allocations, lacking the necessary authority. Nonetheless, their extensive experience working within the system provided them with a profound understanding of its constraints. After venturing into the world of entrepreneurship, these lower-ranking bureaucrats harnessed their networks and their insights into the system's weaknesses. Through these means, they successfully broke free from the economic restrictions imposed by the system. In this regard, their role in propelling China's market-oriented economic reform forward overshadowed any potential drawbacks as they revitalized the stagnant Chinese economy. Then, what were the negative aspects of their actions? These people who entered the business world later stigmatized as beneficiaries of official connections or participants in the collusion between government officials and entrepreneurs triggered public dissatisfaction, which eventually culminated in the 1986 student movement and the 1989 pro-democracy demonstrations in Tiananmen Square. The second wave of entering the business world unfolded approximately a decade later, around 1992. Deng Xiaoping's historical Southern tour laid the groundwork for this wave, with his personal involvement in planning the Shenzhen Special Economic Zone and his introduction of the white cat and the black cat theory, prioritizing economic development over ideological debates. This period marked the second phase of China's reform and opening up, solidifying the prominence of a market-oriented economy, albeit one influenced by the powerful elite. So how many individuals ventured into entrepreneurship this time? Roughly 10 million, a substantial figure. During this period, around 120,000 government officials resigned, and approximately 10 million civil servants opted for unpaid leave. In the early 1990s, with China's economy in its infancy and reform efforts gaining momentum, many civil servants chose to venture into entrepreneurship. While today, we may hold a somewhat critical view of Chinese civil servants, considering them inflexible in their thinking, lacking in business skills and managerial acumen, it's important to remember that in the context of that era, about 30 years ago, civil servants were regarded as a part of the country's intellectual elite. They possessed strong learning abilities, and once they ventured out of the state system to start their own businesses, they quickly adapted to new knowledge and acquired their initial capital. Their means of making money primarily involved leveraging their pre-existing social connections. This approach was akin to the entrepreneurial wave of 1982. However, it's essential to acknowledge that they also played a part in advancing China's economic reforms. As the saying goes, the strongest fortresses are often conquered from within. Looking back, it's often more convenient to dismantle the walls of your fortress rather than launching an external attack. These individuals who emerged from the system remained contributors rather than wrongdoers. That era can be described as a highly spirited time, characterized not only by instances of corruption but more prominently by the impetus it provided to advance China's economic reform. It was an era of fervor, with the majority of people fueled by passion and a drive to improve many aspects of society. The process of improvement was fraught with challenges and unintended consequences, but it was an inevitable part of the journey. The third wave of civil servants resigning from their positions occurred about a decade later, around 2002 to 2003. During this period, more than 10,000 cadres at or above the department level chose to leave their roles nationwide. This wave of resignation differed from the previous two in a significant aspect. By that time, a clear cause and effect relationship had emerged between one's official position and the financial gains. In a completely planned economy, there was limited room for corruption. This was because most people were economically modest and the system was entirely planned. Corruption opportunities were primarily available to high-level officials. Similarly, in a fully developed market economy with democratic governance and media scrutiny, it was difficult for corruption to thrive. However, in a system where the market economy was not fully mature and there was insufficient oversight of power, corruption became rampant. Money could be exchanged for influence, and conversely, influence could be converted into financial gains. In this broader context, a significant number of government officials at or above the departmental level left their public service roles to venture into the business world. This was a time when China's market economy was entering its rapid growth phase. These departing officials joined internet development companies, received stock options, and became involved in large industrial and mining enterprises. They had the opportunity to secure government licenses and approvals and took on managerial positions in these enterprises, sometimes even becoming shareholders. It was undoubtedly a period marked by enthusiasm and idealism. Fast forward another 10 years to 2012, 2013, and there was no significant wave of officials leaving their posts. Skip ahead another decade to the present, and the Jiangsu province has initiated a policy requiring government officials to resign. But today's circumstances are drastically different. The market is no longer as receptive to these individuals. Over the past 2 decades, the concentration of power has created direct avenues for personal gain. This is a stark contrast to 2 decades ago when only high-ranking officials could effectively profit from their positions. However, in recent years, anyone with access to power could exploit it for personal gain, giving rise to cases of corruption even among lower-level officials. In the past, those wishing to accumulate wealth had to leave their government positions and rely on connections. Over the last 2 decades, the mere act of holding a government position often led to substantial personal wealth. Now, at a time when the general public is acutely feeling the economic downturn and the civil service positions have become increasingly competitive, many are striving to join the civil service. However, due to economic challenges and the government's financial constraints, even public servants are now facing potential layoffs. They are granted a 3-year period to venture into new endeavors. Nonetheless, resources are scarce, and the choice to leave is often more of a necessity than a preference. Local governments are providing 3 years of social security coverage in this transitional phase. A few individuals may consider this situation by saying, "It's only 3 years. I can be supported by my parents during this time or pick up temporary jobs, and after 3 years, I can return with my positions intact even without a salary." Nevertheless, this isn't a viable solution. Firstly, when you depart, your official records are transferred out, making a return difficult. Secondly, given the current economic conditions, it's highly probable that government departments will undergo structural changes after 3 years, and your position will likely no longer exist. How could you expect to regain your original role? This current trend of government officials venturing into entrepreneurship, starting in Jiangsu, is essentially a subtle form of staff reduction, and it doesn't involve severance pay. At the most, they'll continue to cover your social security, which isn't substantial for government officials. Therefore, it's a cost-effective means of downsizing the civil service. This new wave of government officials turning to entrepreneurship is unlikely to replicate the business success achieved by their predecessors, such as the emergence of new luminaries like Wang Shi. Several inhibiting factors come into play. The earlier batches of officials who ventured into entrepreneurial pursuits started from a level playing field and in some cases even enjoyed a head start. Furthermore, at that time, there were numerous untapped areas in society, making it relatively straightforward to them to carve out their niche. After decades of reforms and opening up of China, most niches in the country's business landscape are already occupied, resulting in fierce competition. If you have spent your career as a government official, leaving the bureaucracy behind means you may lack the necessary skills to thrive in the competitive business environment. It's challenging to predict whether these officials can succeed once they transition into the world of commerce. Adapting to the operational methods and the culture of the bureaucracy is no easy feat in a business context. Jiangsu is currently pioneering an initiative to transition government officials out of their positions. Jiangsu enjoys a relatively favorable environment for this transition. However, the outcome of a nationwide expansion is uncertain. Looking back at history during the late Ming Dynasty in China, Li Zicheng led a peasant uprising that resulted in the overthrow of the Ming Dynasty. Li Zicheng's rebellion was partly driven by his layoff from the Ming court, which ultimately forced him into taking extreme measures. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.